It says the most commonly described alien is about 3 1/2 feet tall, has a round head or helmet, arms reaching to or below his knees, and is wearing a silver spacesuit or coveralls. Other aliens appear to be essentially the same as Earthmen, while still others have particularly wide wraparound eyes and mouths with very thin lips, and there is a rare group reported as about 4 feet tall, weight of around 35 pounds, and covered with thick hair or fur, and in parentheses they have clothing with a question mark. Members of this last group are described as being extremely strong. Human fear and hostility. It says, besides the foregoing reasons, contacting humans is downright dangerous. Might be one reason they want to keep themselves secret if they're really here. Now, this is a textbook. This is a page out of a U.S. Air Force Academy textbook. Next page. This is another page out of the same textbook. It says, this leaves us with the unpleasant possibility of alien visitors to our planet, or at least of alien-controlled UFOs. When this textbook got into the hands of researchers, they excised the entire chapter from the textbook. Next. See if the name is on here. Nope. Okay, next. This is Janet 146D. You want to know why people don't report these things? Want to know why more airline pilots don't speak up? Why more captains of ships don't speak up? It's because of Janet 146, Joint United States-Canadian Communications Instructions for Reporting, and notice it says vital intelligence sightings. Now, in this regulation, it says, if you make this report, you can be thrown in jail for talking about any of the information in the report. You can be fined. You can lose your license. But if you don't make the report, it's okay to talk about it. Next. And this just goes through telling you what's in here. Next. 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 Wait a minute, go back to the last. Oh, here we go. Stay on that. Unidentified flying objects. Just want to make sure that you know that this specifically stated in this report that they are to be reported. Next. Okay, let's go through this. Go ahead. And go ahead. We just don't have time to cover every paragraph and all of the pertinent information. Go ahead. Keep going. Keep going. You can see how extensive this is. Keep going. Keep going. This is some footage that I put in here because someplace I get to where I'm going, and they have assured me they will have a video projector, and they don't. So you'll see a little bit on Kennedy assassination here. I use these photographs because this man was extremely human and photogenic and charismatic. So much so that if you hated his politics, you still couldn't help like John Kennedy. Most of the pictures you're going to see came out of this magazine, next, this magazine, next, and this book, next. Go ahead. Can you imagine pictures like this of Richard Nixon? Lyndon Johnson, George Bush, Gerald Ford. Oops. Next. Next. Look at that. I'm not going to ask you this because some people are probably not going to be able to raise their hand. But I just wonder how many men in here have kissed your father lately. Next. This is a photograph of Kennedy after he'd been shot in the throat. Jacqueline is looking at him in horror. He's clutching his throat. Next. This is William Greer beginning to turn around. You can see his hand here, his arm. You can see the end of the gun barrel right there. Next. Now you can see him. Here's his hand, his arm. The gun is right behind this flash of reflection here. You can see him looking directly back at the president. Next slide. Next. Now, you can see the top of Kellerman's head right here. People argue that that's a reflection off the top of Kellerman's head. It is not. You can also see Kellerman's hand is on the wheel. Kellerman, that's his arm and hand, is actually driving the car at that point. Kellerman is a Secret Service agent who was the passenger in the front seat. Pardon? No. No. John Connolly was sitting directly behind Agent Kellerman. And his wife was sitting directly behind Greer. That's John Connolly's wife. That's John Connolly. Next. This is Kennedy's grave. Next. Everybody wonders why Jacqueline Kennedy never said anything. That's the reason right there. Where were her children? They were being guarded by the Secret Service, who just shot her husband. It was the Secret Service. Who the hell was she going to tell? And what was she going to tell them? To this day, her children are in the guard of the Secret Service, and so is she. Next. It was not Lee Harvey Oswald, ladies and gentlemen, because that's him right there, standing in the doorway of the Dallas Book Depository as the motorcade drove by. The Central Intelligence Agency has agents in the civilian community writing books and making statements to keep you confused. They will tell you that's not Lee Harvey Oswald, it's somebody who looks like him.
What was Jack Ruby's part in?
I don't know, but he certainly had a part. Next. There he is again. Lee Harvey Oswald. We have done body proportion measurement comparison. We have studied the clothing. We have studied the jawline, the features of the face. Next. And it is Lee Harvey Oswald. Next. And that's us if we don't do something quick. Next. Now, everybody wants to know, why do we have to have a one-world government? Why is it that they won't let us have these things that we know will cure disease? Why are they so hard on homeopathic medicine? Why this, why that, why this, why that? It's simple, folks. Once you really get into it, there is no doubt about it, there is a serious population problem. At the end of World War II, or actually during the war, they did a study to try to determine the effect of the returning soldiers from the war upon the economy. What these people who made the study projected was that there was going to be a whole bunch of babies born. They did a study again in 1957, which stated that the exponential increase of the population would ensure that the population would double between 1957 and 1990, and it did. They said that if something wasn't done, the increase in the use of insecticides, toxic chemical waste, effluent sewage, the pollution of the air, the use of fossil fuels, the use of timber, the increased need for raw materials was going to put us in a crisis, because they said that if something wasn't done to stop the growth of the population would double again 28 years from 1990. And it will. And then we will need twice as many trees, twice as many homes, twice as many cars, twice as much oil, twice as much food, twice as much everything. We will be putting twice as much sewage into the earth, twice as much pollution into the atmosphere, twice as much toxic waste material. And the study said if we don't stop this, if something isn't done,